Hi and welcome to Real Reviews, where today I'm going to be talking about Percy Jackson and the Olympians, which is coming out on Disney Plus on December 20th and stars Walker Scobell from the Adam Project in the eponymous role. So let's get into it, shall we? Right, so for those of you that can think back as far as 2010, you may remember something called Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, which came out and was directed by Chris Colombus. It was happened around the same time that the Potter franchise was winding down. So the idea was that the baton would be passed over from boy wizard to Greek urchin of some kind with uber powers, sort of a half-blood, half-breed Greek god, ultimately demigod, which is what Percy Jackson is. Off the back of that, you had a decent film being made. It's also important to remember that Chris Colombus, he directed the first Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, or the Sorcerer's Stone if you're over in the States. So everybody thought they were onto a winner. It made enough money and enough noise to warrant a sequel. So you got Sea Monsters, Percy Jackson, and in 2013. So now jump 10 years later, and after video games and other adaptations, and the character has obviously gone into some form of stasis, we now have Percy Jackson and the Olympians, which is adapted by the original author, Rick Riordan, and Jonathan Steinberg, I believe. And he's important because he was the man behind The Old Man, which was the Jeff Bridges show, which is also on Disney Plus, and it's well worth a watch. So you're in safe hands with this one. So what you basically get is a reinvention. And this time, rather than being sea monsters and lightning thieves, you have the Olympians. So let's dive into exactly what makes this Percy Jackson worth every minute of your time. So I think, at least with the first two episodes, what you get is a really decent foundation. You get a very well developed, a solid understanding of this universe, and you get a very compelling character at the centre of it, who's conflicted and has flaws, and a very good actor who's giving this portrayal. Aside from that, you've also got a really decent ensemble cast. You've got actors such as Toby Stephens in there. You've got the late great Lance Reddish, who people will know from the John Wick franchise, and you've also got actors who you might not necessarily know them by name, but you will see their faces and you'll recognise them, and they each one contributes something crucial to the overall story. I think it's also important to note that it makes a good balance between the adult themes, which are sort of like, you know, the abandonment, the isolation, the mildly abusive sort of background that Percy comes from, which is obviously why he shares so much DNA with the Harry Potter character, and also the sort of childlike wonder and the very highly polished visual effects, which bring, you know, the other elements into play. So I think there's a great deal there. There's a quest structure. There's a series of bonding scenes early on, which introduce Annabelle, or Annabeth, I should say, who's played by Leah Jeffries. And these, for fans of the book, there's a great deal to dive into as well. So I think on that basis, I'm just going to jump right along and give you my opinion, my rating after having seen 2 episodes. So I hate to sound like a stuck record, but this is another 4 out of 5 from me for Percy Jackson and the Olympians, because it's a really good show. I was not expecting it to be as good as this. I had my reservations because ultimately it is billed as a children's show. It is a young adult adaptation from obviously the source material by Rick Riordan. But what I did find, I found to be incredibly good. There's some emotion in there. There's some comedy in there. Nobody looks like they can't act. There's no woodenness, which is often, which is the biggest fear when it comes to series of this particular type. So everything points to this being a positive show all the way through, and one I would definitely recommend to anybody. So I'm going to jump right into that trailer now. Come follow me. Right, and so it is that you've reached the end of the video review for Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, which comes out on the 20th of December on Disney+. So if you've liked the review, don't be afraid, give me a thumbs up. If you'd like to drop a comment in the comment box, do that as well, and I promise I'll respond. Failing that, you could always just subscribe, so that every Tuesday and every Saturday when I drop another one of these videos, you will be able to just get a little notification ping, and then you can listen to as much or as little as you would like, and then go about your day. In the meantime, check out the rest of the channel, and be sure to have a look at my Patreon page. Until later, take care, bye bye.